And welcome back to Hannity. Joining us is now a man who needs no introduction. Author of now the best-selling book, Killing England, The Brutal Struggle for American Independence, Bill O'Reilly. How are you? It's good to see you.
I'm here. I'm alive. And the spin stops here. Right?
No, whoa. You got to go all the way back like you did it. You know, the people want to see it.
No.
Well, it's good to see.
Thank you.
How are you? And do you miss the daily grind?
No. I was in the ocean all summer, and I had a great time. I'm fine. I'm teed off. But first, I want to tell everybody, last night, Hannity kicked MSNBC's butt.
No, say it.
No,
you can say ass.
Hey.
He's taking over. 5 seconds in.
Stop. Okay. Didn't beat that woman. Didn't eke by. Slaughtered her. And here's the reason. The people, and I'm a person, I know some people don't believe that, are angry about this NFL because it's a much bigger story than football players. And I want to address this comment to the NFL players today, and they'll get this. When the Jaguars and the Ravens were over in London and they kneeled down on a foreign soil and then they stood up for the British national anthem,
God save the Queen.
I was angry and sad because I don't believe those players know what they're doing. About 3,000 miles east of you, there are American military people in Kandahar, Afghanistan, whose entertainment revolves around the Armed Forces Network that broadcasts football games. Now, I was over there in 7. I watched football games with them. Can you imagine putting your life on the line in Afghanistan and having just a leisure time and wanting to watch a football game and seeing your players, your American players, disrespect the country and the flag on foreign soil? Can you imagine how painful that was?
Can I ask you this? How could they possibly not know?
They don't know.
Why do you give these?
They don't
most
know.
of these players, they're the best of the best. I have great respect for their athletic talent, their ability, their agility, their hard work. They went to college, Bill. Most of the kids play college ball.
It's a mob mentality. It is a anti-Trump demonstration. That's what it's morphed into. But there's two kinds of dissent, and nobody is saying the players don't have a right to their opinion about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You do. And if you want to feel America is an evil country where the white supremacists stalk innocent blacks, if you want to believe that, you're free to believe it. But it's not true. It's not true. So there's informed dissent, and then there's pack dissent. And that's where we're into now, pack dissent. Okay, so he says one thing, I say another, and the league and the owners have lost control of it. But the American people, I firmly believe 65%, maybe 70% of the American people do not like this situation, are offended by this situation.
How much of this is related? I played President Obama. He rushed to judgment when it came to Baltimore and Freddie Gray, and it never happened, hands up, don't shoot, and Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman. Now, I learned when I was in Atlanta, local radio guy, you don't rush to judgment. That was in the Richard Jewell case. But the president at the time rushed to judgment. That narrative, people believe hands up, don't shoot happened.
A lot of people believe propaganda, and there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, one of the reasons I wrote Killing England is that everybody can now know what really happened and how we got our freedom. I'd love to go to every NFL locker room and give these guys the book. Would they read the book? Most of them would not. Because, again, they're caught up in emotion. This is emotion what's happening now. But the wider picture is, and you pointed it out in your monologue, the far left wants to drive the narrative that the USA is an evil country. Why? They want to change everything. The Constitution, the economic system, the leadership, the electoral system. They want to cross-the-board change.
I want to get to that.
They use stuff like this.
They
use it. These players are being used.
Where does this, in your opinion, all end? I think they're in a quandary. They're in a dilemma now. And we kind of tried to see the Dallas Cowboys last night threading the needle. Look at the average family. I grew up in a small Cape Cod house, 3 older sisters, 1 bathroom. By the way, Bill, that's hell on earth. 50 by 100 lot. Seriously. Franklin Square, you know where I grew up.
Yeah.
I grew up there. If you take a family of 4 to a football game, basketball game, baseball game, all right, average ticket about $100.
It's $1,000.
Okay, it's close to a grand.
It's
you buy
$1,000.
hot dogs.
Yeah.
You buy a jersey.
Right.
You buy all this stuff. It's so much money, and people literally sacrifice and save for that. How are they going to react? How does this end?
Well, first of all, the league is going to have to do something, and what they should do, as I wrote a column for The Hill about it, is say to the players, we know that some of you don't like the country or want to get a point across, but this is the wrong forum. All right, this is not the forum to do it. So if you don't want to stand up for the national anthem, stay in the locker room and then come out. But we don't want any political demonstrations because we don't allow pro-American demonstrations. The league does not allow that. There were many, many Giant players, New York Giant and Jet players, that after 9/11 wanted to show on their uniforms their solidarity with the families. They wouldn't allow it.
We had the slaughter of cops in Dallas.
And
the
they wouldn't allow
Cowboys
it.
wanted to honor the local police. They wouldn't let them.
They wouldn't let them. So you've got to be consistent. So the league says, all right, you guys who don't want to stand up for the national anthem, you stay in the locker room. After it's over, you can come out. That's it. Okay? All right?
Well, it would be certainly, wouldn't be selective enforcement of the rules. Let me ask you a broader, bigger question, because you talked about this for many years on your show. I know you have your podcast now and your columns, but every 2 and 4 years, and then when we have these other bigger issues emerge, the issue of race, it is used as a wedge issue.
Sure.
The Missouri radio ad that said if you elect Republicans, black churches are going to burn. The James Byrd ad, Al Gore saying when he's running for president to a predominantly black audience, Republicans have the wrong agenda for African Americans, changing his cadence. They don't even want to count you in the census. That is a lie. And it divides the country. And it's dividing the country along racial lines in a way that is hurtful to the country.
And then the media drives it and the entertainers drive it. But there is a reason why it's happening. A year ago, you did not hear the words white supremacists. Didn't hear it. Nobody heard it. It was white privilege. And in my Levittown neighborhood, about 8 miles away from Hannity's Franklin Square
neighborhood. No, it was miles away.
I had guys, in undershirts that are falling apart going, where's my white privilege? All right? Okay. That's what you had a year ago. It's morphed into white supremacists now. And people are buying it. Why? Because the far left agents, and I think they're evil, want to destroy the Constitution in the sense that they want it all changed. Who forged it? Slave owners, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington. We can't have a Constitution with they made. We have to have a new one. That's the end game.
You were on my radio show, and I think this was the most important point you made that I agreed with, that I think is the most dangerous for the country. Because you took on the monument issue. Now you can add the NFL issue. Right. And institutions in this country that are under fire every day. I'll add to that the 2 to 4 year playing of the race card, the only one of the big weapons in the playbook of the Democrats. But ultimately you say if they get rid of the monuments, they get rid of our history, they can take a knee during the anthem and diss the flag, then ultimately it's really the Constitution they want to change.
That's right.
I want you to make that point.
They're after they don't want capitalism. They don't want the Electoral College. They don't want white people generally calling the shots. So they have to mobilize minority Americans to be angry. You know, we do this on BillO'Reilly.com almost every night. I'm paralleling you on our website. But if you understand history, and most people don't.
I want to get to that. I don't mean to interrupt you. You know what my favorite part of the game is usually? At the end of the game, you have the best of the best warriors battling it out, fighting. They get in a circle and they say a prayer, Bill.
Right, this is football you're talking about.
In football.
Yeah.
All right, stay right there. We have some breaking news out of the Associated Press now, out of Alabama. Roy Moore has won the Alabama GOP primary runoff. I've said this is a referendum on Mitch McConnell. We'll explain that. We'll talk about President Trump. We'll talk about the country. We'll talk about Congress and the media, which is more corrupt than any institution. Straight ahead. Press projecting that Roy Moore will win the Alabama Senate runoff as we continue with the author of the best-selling book, Killing England, The Brutal Struggle for American Independence. Bill O'Reilly is with us. I say that's a referendum on McConnell.
Yeah, the folks are mad. They want very conservative elected officials, Moore, very famous in Alabama. I knew he was going to win from the jump.
So did I.
And I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing. We'll see how he performs.
I want to ask you about the media. I have never seen any institution in America that is so corrupt, so bitterly ideological, so one-sided, that never talk about, you always said to folks, I talk about the forgotten men and women, people that came from our background or worse.
Yeah.
They never talk about them. All they want to do is destroy this president. 24/7, 365 conspiracy theories. I'm loving to hear what you think about it.
Not only do they want to destroy President Trump, but anyone who voted for him.
Anyone supports him on air.
Or gives him a fair shot. It just goes across the board. Look, we're living in a time where there are no more journalistic rules. And I can back that up 50 different ways, but I'm not going to bore everybody tonight, but I will someday. There are no rules anymore. So your major urban newspapers aren't newspapers, they're left-wing journals, and they coordinate. And the people on the cable news shows on the other channels, they're left-wing top to bottom. If you wear a Make America Great hat into the New York Times tomorrow and you work there, you're not going to be working there much longer, all right? It's very, very intense. Very intense. But what's happened now is big money is poured in to organizations like Media Matters. Do you know they threatened you and me if we did this segment tonight?
No, they
Media Matters.
They threatened me for just allowing you to have a voice.
Just to have the segment.
Just to have the segment.
We were threatened.
Yes, we were.
Because these totalitarians want to wipe out any speech with which they disagree.
See, I call them liberal fascists because that's what they are.
Yeah, that's a good description.
The most tolerant people as it comes to speech, we defend Bill Maher. I hate Bill Maher. I never in
You
my...
don't know the real Bill.
Oh, you do. You're buddies with him. I can't stand him. I never said that Kathy Griffin should be fired or anybody. I don't say that.
No,
anybody,
I know.
I don't care what they say.
And you don't call for boycotts. You don't
turn the dial.
There isn't a right-wing cabal that does that.
No.
I mean, the right can get hateful. Everybody knows that. I mean, they can. But there's not an organization that goes out and threatens people and boycotts sponsors. Now, here's the insidious part. That's bad enough, all right? There's millions of dollars behind that. And those people who are doing it are being paid to do it. Big money. Wait.
No, go ahead.
Cheryl Atkinson.
Great piece.
Cheryl Atkinson's book, Smear. You've got to read it. This is a brilliant woman, an honest reporter, used to work at CBS. The book is Smear. It'll document A to Z this big money, and these people will do anything.
Bill, every minute of every day, we have Rush on later this week. Every prominent conservative voice is recorded. They're paid to record. They're paid to transcribe. They're paid to look for the one word, sentence, phrase that they can then use to attack either advertisers or others.
Advertisers, that's the most insidious.
And it's worked. Let's be honest.
Well,
it has worked in the past.
Hannity and I have discussed this off camera, and we're going to fight back. And I have to give you all the credit in the world. You fought back when they came after you last spring. I didn't, and I should have. But anyway, this is so dangerous to the country. People don't know how dangerous this is because most people aren't engaged. They don't pay attention. They just hear things. And these propaganda people throw this stuff out as fact when it just lies across the board.
Let me move on. Let me ask you, I think the president has done a great job in terms of doing everything that he promised that he's able to do on his own. I've never seen more impotent people, more ineffective people, people that can't keep simple promises like repealing and replacing and getting it done. You talk about the folks, it's hurting the forgotten men and women that define this election.
Certainly in Arizona, there's no doubt about it. I was very surprised John McCain, and I respect John McCain, I've known him from a long time.
I have a video of him. I can play this video.
No, everybody knows that he said it, but I think it was personal. I think that Donald Trump angered him. And look, you can't blame McCain for that. What Trump said about McCain was out of line. I said it on The Factor. I told Trump to his face, out of line, okay? But sometime down the road, if you're John McCain, you got to say, what's the greater good? What's the greater good? To help my people in Arizona who are paying far too much for their health insurance, or to stick it to a guy I don't like?
Why do people want to not only defeat the president politically, they want to destroy him and delegitimize
Well, I told him that from the jump. I had the first interview when he declared, and I said they're going to come after you because what Trump does is that he goes right to the people. You don't need the big media. Trump, and that's what he's doing with the NFL. Trump's going right to the people, and he knows, and I think he's right, that most people are agreeing with him. He's going to win that, all right? So he goes around the media. It's the worst thing you can do to the media.
The media, in many ways, is dying before our very eyes.
It is.
I don't think they recover from the abusive bias. Have you heard the conspiracy theories? It is the most bizarre. Russia, 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 Bill, 24/7, again, to hurt the president. In the process, it's not only the president that gets hurt, nothing gets done for the country.
Well, wait till you see what happens when Paul Manafort gets indicted, which I think is going to happen.
I think it's going to happen, sadly.
But I think you're right in the sense that fair-minded people, not conservatives and liberals, because there are liberals who are very good and very fair, right? But fair-minded people know there's no objectivity in the media anymore.
Name 5 fair Democratic senators and congressmen. Was there one that's willing to work?
Manchin is a fair guy in West Virginia.
What is Manchin? He's not reaching out with President Trump on the health care.
All right, you want to know why?
Because Schumer won't let him.
Well, that's right. Senator Schumer from New York has told all of the Democratic senators 2 things. Unless you vote straight party line with us, we will run someone against you in a primary, and we will cut off all your money so that you will not have money from the DNC to campaign. Every senator has gotten that message, all right? So on close calls, they're going to go with Schumer. Now, I think on the tax cuts,
they might get some
Trump
with infrastructure.
might get 3 or 4 Democrats.
3 or 4.
But he's
3 or 4.
But he's going to have 3 or 4 Republicans say no. I guarantee you, Susan Collins in Maine, I guarantee she should be a Democrat.
How about we work for the people? You know what? The
That's
people,
right.
they're not public
right.
servants anymore, Bill. They're not serving the public
They're
anymore.
serving themselves, but that's nothing new.
Well, not this bad. I have never seen the vitriol. And look, we started on this channel 23 years ago. It's never been this bad, ever.
I got to tell you, in the 20 years, 6 months I worked for FNC, I was attacked every single day of my life. Every day.
Hey, by the way, I must say, bullseye, the 2 Irish guys.
Yeah.
All right. We got to take a break. I want to talk about this. I want to go back to your book. When you talk about institutions today, there's a lot of parallels to what you're writing about that I think we can learn from.
Yeah, the Dallas School Board. I want to get into that.
We'll get into that. All right, more with Bill O'Reilly right after the break. Stay with us. And welcome back to Hannity as we continue now with the author of Killing England. You know him well. Bill O'Reilly is with us. So I want to go back to this point because you talked about being a culture warrior. The NFL is a cultural issue. When we're talking about tearing down memorials or breaking up history or acting as though it didn't happen.
Right.
I always say, Bill, that this is the greatest country God has given man that has accumulated more power and never abused it less and used its power to advance the human condition. So here's my question for you. You talk in this book about once you break down those cultural institutions, really they're setting the country up to say that the whole country is predicated on evil.
White supremacy. That's what it's
And
about.
the Constitution is their target. I want you to explain it and compare it to what you're saying in the book and the parallels.
Okay. So I came out with Killing England a week ago. Almost the same day, the Dallas, Texas School Board started debating whether to remove the names of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin from their schools. How shocking is that? So on the cover of my book, you have Washington, Jefferson, and Franklin. And we tell you who they are as men, as people, both the good and the bad.
By the way, very blunt.
You know me.
Ben Franklin, give one example.
Well, Ben Franklin was the Hugh Hefner of his time. I mean, when you feel it,
That's one way to say it, Bill.
I mean, right. Yeah. I mean, the energy this guy had. Talk about the kite, that wasn't a half of it. But anyway, you've got it. Who's going to start? Who's going to stop this madness? You, the American people. You have to go to the Dallas School Board meeting and you have to say, I know who George Washington was and Thomas Jefferson. Yes, they were slaveholders, but this is what they did to give Hannity and O'Reilly the freedom to talk to millions of people. And this is how they suffered. They suffered.
But is it, look, all have sinned and fallen short.
Every man does.
Every man has sinned and fallen short. And I'll look at myself first. Guilty as charged. No country is perfect. I think the most intriguing thing that never gets talked about of our founders and our framers is they created a system unlike any other.
Right.
Where they built into the system the ability of the people, we the people, to right wrongs, to end evil and correct injustices. And history, Bill, has proven it worked.
And you should see the price they paid. The price that George Washington paid for 8 years of war against the king. The one flaw was slavery. But in the Civil War, hundreds of thousands of whites died to free the slaves. So this isn't a white supremacist nation. This is the biggest bunch of bull I've ever heard. So I want to give people, I want to make them armed and dangerous with facts. Read Killing England, you'll know who they were, you know why this country, as you say, is the greatest country ever.
650,000+ people lost their lives in the wars in this country.
Yeah.
And that's why many of them fought under that flag, Bill. They fought under that flag, and that goes back to the NFL issue where we started. You know, one of the things that I care at this point in my life more than anything else, I just want the former dishwasher, cook, busboy, waiter, bartender, tile layer, house painter, paper hanger, and framer and roofer.
Well, you got
to have the
fired from
chance.
A lot of jobs. Henry.
No, I didn't get it. That's 20 years of my life. But I want everybody to have the shot that we have.
Sure, and everybody.
That's what I want.
And if you work hard, get educated, and really figure out your talent, you'll make it in America. You'll make it here. And the people who are telling you you won't make it because you're black or you're Hispanic, they're lying to you. And they're giving you an excuse to fail.
Yeah.
That's racism.
Burgess Owens was on my radio show.
I heard it.
And he said the exact same thing you just said.
Don't give them an excuse
Don't
to
tell
fail.
He said millionaires shouldn't tell people that they can't make it. He's right.
You know, you have to have perspective. You have to have informed, even if you want to dissent. I respect that. Hannity respects it.
We make our living on it.
But be informed. Don't be telling me that cops in America go out every day trying to hunt down black people. That's a lie. They don't. So be informed and make your points on dissent in a way that's rational.
The country needs, and this goes back to those that want to silence conservative voices. This goes back to, we have more dialogue, more debate, more information. I think people do better. You know what the real sad thing is things you said on your show, you write in your books, and things I'm saying on this show, nobody else in media says it,
No,
Bill.
because you get
That's
attacked.
why.
You get attacked.
Oh, I don't care about the attacks.
Well, I know you don't.
I don't care.
And you're a special case, though. But most people don't want their families attacked.
It's hard. All
right? They go after your families. They come on your property. They lie about you. They pay people to lie about you.
My poor daughter calls me today, Dad, they put up a video of you vaping in a slut.
Yeah, smoking opium, wasn't it?
No,
Is that what Hannity was doing? Is he opium?
All right, you used that in the green room.
I saw it.
You know, and I said, sweetheart, I said, for 16 years of your life, I never told you what I lived through.
I know.
I never bring it to their attention.
But now it's worse than ever.
Here's what I want to ask you, because we're running out of time. And I appreciate you coming in, and good luck with the book.
It's kind of you to have me.
Tell me something. You gotta miss the grind a little. Come on. You don't miss the swamp a little.
I'm afraid of those water moccasins. Now look, I did 20 years and 6 months here, and it was.
And you worked with the
fabulous.
Inside Edition,
Fabulous.
ABC.
All the other. I worked at ABC, CBS, Inside Edition, but this was far and away the best job because I got to meet some of the folks. Who knows what I'm going to do? I don't know. I enjoyed my summer off. The vitriol that you have to face and that I have to face, I got to evaluate it. You know, Hannity and I are going fishing. I mean, you guys don't know that. We're going fishing, all right?
No, but you were on my radio show yelling at the fish in your water today.
I know, but when we're out on fishing, we're going to figure this out. But there has to be now. There has to be an exposition by people like you and me about what's really happening in this country because it's dangerous. They want to take freedom of speech away from their opponents, they the far left.
I contend that the future of this country is at stake in ways we don't know. And if they're successful in taking out this president for reasons
or
that
this
are
network, this is the only network.
This is it.
This is it. This network goes, they win.
All right, Bill, we'll come back. Will you come back?
Maybe.
Maybe.
We're fishing first.
Are you coming back? You'll come back.
I'll come back. I got to hawk this book, man.
That's true. All right. You can get it on Amazon when we come back.